So Brian Wang, I have days. You probably have had these kind of days too, where I'm just searching around looking for any kind of news, just some kind of news that I can possibly report on. This was not one of those days. It hasn't been one of those weeks. It just seems to get more and more and more, especially for Tesla news. And I think if there wasn't a
Yeah.
war going on right now, Tesla would already be at 500, even without Robotaxi getting the safety riders out, because the news of the last 2 or 3 days, 4 days has just been astronomical. We're
Right.
going to want to talk about, I'm going to have you, Brian, what I want you to do is I'm going to want you to teach me, just like
Mhm.
we've done so many times on the science side of your
Yeah.
show. I want you to teach me about what just happened when it comes to this joint venture between Tesla and XAI or SpaceX in
Right.
order to give Grok a big brain.
Okay.
So that's going to be one of the subjects we're going to talk about. And then even deeper into science, because
Yeah.
sometimes on this show we get into this war game stuff. We've
Yeah.
talked about drones. We were so far ahead of the world on drones.
Yes.
3 years ago, we started talking about drones, and then Elon
Mhm.
Musk says the future of warfare is drones. And I said, "See,
Yeah.
Brian."
Yeah.
And then we started really going deeper and deeper on it,
Yeah.
and now they become the future of warfare. So
Right.
you guys show up, keep on showing up because we break a lot of news here. So we're going to talk about the latest thing
Yeah.
in warfare, which is going to maybe change everything. So Brian, first of all, what about the stock today? We did get a nice gain with
Yeah.
all of that amazing news, but man, it should have been up like 10%. It was only up like 3% or something, 2%.
Right. So I think we need to break about 415, 420, and then hold it, and then we can get toward the 440. So there's a bunch of technical levels that we kind of have to get over. And because there's so many, if you're going sideways, there's a lot of or down. Actually, it was down. That was the big problem. I think we may have broken over the downward trend that we were
Okay.
on.
All right.
So that's step one, right? Then we need to kind of get out of what would be a sideways bottom type channel too, and also kind of hold it the levels for the week. Like if you have like pop out and then drop back down on Friday, right? That'd be no good, right? You want to go up, break the channel, and then keep going a bit. Um, so, going up is better than going down. And, we went up today. I think if we go to 415, 420, and then hold it for the weekend, for Friday,
Mhm.
that would be a very positive thing. And that would get us into not going down. And then it's like how much we go up, we have to then have a bit more price action next week.
So Joe Ward should be taking some victory laps right now. I don't know if he can claim that this is all because of him, but Joe Ward, for those of you who have not been following closely, used to be the vice president of sales for Europe and U.S., I think.
I'm not sure.
I think it was just Europe and the U.S. because there was another person who was in China, and he was just elevated to the head of sales for the world
Mhm.
with a direct report to Elon because he has no title.
This is for
So
Tesla. Yeah.
I'm sorry for Tesla. He has no title, so
Mhm.
he's direct report to Elon. So anyway, and then here we are. We're only 2 months into the year,
Yeah.
and the sales are going crazy. So this is
Right.
this is unexpected.
And then also there was a thing I saw that Luke Nosek who used to be with Elon, I think at PayPal,
Hmm.
is now I think into XXAI because they're doing the X money thing.
Oh yeah,
So having someone who's
done
a
that.
PayPal veteran and buddy of Elon's, I think it's a good thing.
Wow, wow. Okay. So yeah, some new executives coming in. There have been a few executives leaving the last couple of weeks and then about a month or so ago. And so I did ask Grok. I was like, okay, Grok, is this normal for companies to have this kind of changeover, this kind of churn? And so it turns out that yes and no. So yes, I'm sorry, let's start with no. Their churn rate is a little higher than corporate America and a lot higher than the auto industry. So about 44 right now, but this is 2 years old information. So 2 years ago, their churn rate was like 0.44 or something. I know exactly how they come up with that, but which is about 10 points higher than the average around about 0.35. But then I said to Grok, hey, Grok, how about the length of the time these people stay on the job? And Grok said, oh no, on that one, Tesla's way ahead. I said, how can you do both of those? So I think it's mostly has to do with the amount of time that Tesla's been in business. And a lot of the guys who got involved early are now, they're worth millions and millions and millions of dollars. They've been worked to death. If you read the book, the Elon Musk Magic, you'll find out how rough it's been. And so one of these guys that just retired or just quit, he was like 17 years on the job. And yeah, that's long. That's long for a company like Tesla.
The other thing is that in a period where all kinds of stuff is happening, right? AI, space, and all that kind of stuff. If you're a top guy in AI, a top guy in space, a top guy in Tesla, you could say, I will hop out and leave being, one of several key people to Elon, maybe like 50 key people to Elon.
Yeah.
And then I can go off and create my own thing.
Right.
I can join up with someone else. So we don't know what their opportunities are, right? And the other thing is that the other possibility is with the xAI and SpaceX going public, right? The IPO, it's like I will become a billionaire after 4 years,
Right.
and in a matter of months,
Right.
my lockup will expire, and I can just kick back and buy a cruise ship and do whatever I want, right? There's a bunch of like other reasons why it's just like, and I'm good. Yes, I could stay with Elon and make another 5-10 billion or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But like Tom Zhu or whatever, like he's been offered like $5 billion golden handcuffs, right?
Right.
But it's like if you're not that motivated, it's like I did plenty. I worked 80-hour weeks for whatever, and then now, anyway, so more can going on.
Yeah. So, and all those things are true. My son worked for In-N-Out for about 5 years, and In-N-Out famously is got the best training system. I think probably better than Tesla's even. Their training system is just amazing. And if you can hang in there for 5 years with no college degree, with nothing, you're probably making 100 a quarter, maybe more than that now. And so people that would leave In-N-Out, if you had In-N-Out at the top of your resume, it was like gold. It was like going to, a top university because people knew the training was just absolutely amazing. So, okay, so that's the same kind of thing you got going there. We got Tesla University churning out millions and millions of amazing people. All right, so the stock, you think it needs to break a little higher, and with all this good news, you would think that it would. So let's talk about the first piece of good news because it's the one I'm the most interested. Well, I don't know. I'm interested in both. So we had coming together a joint venture between SpaceX and Tesla today. Another joint venture. xAI and part of SpaceX xAI, a merger, or not a merger, but rather a joint venture to move Macrohard to the Tesla side of the tracks. And anyway, what happened, Brian? This is really super important.
Right. So, I believe that this is actually one of the most important things, and it could actually hit faster and be more impactful financially than even Tesla bought Optimus.
Wow.
So this could be really, really, really important. It could also go slower, but it's also, I think, integral in terms of like how it integrates with. So it having a digital Optimus integrates with physical Optimus.
Right.
Okay. So one, they made a giant data center with the Macrohard on top, 100,000 GPUs in it. It's a massive supercomputer, one of the biggest in the world, right? So they have that, and specifically they say Macrohard on top, right? Oops, sorry. Okay, so Elon gave a post saying Macrohard did Optimus joint project, and they give details they had not given before. Grok is a master conductor navigator with deep understanding of the world to direct digital Optimus, which is processing and actioning the past 5 seconds of the real-time computer screen in the form of video. So we have a computer screen right now. You could be running Excel, you could be running all kinds of things. You could be running, websites and all kinds of stuff. So the last 5 seconds, it's analyzing it, and it's also looking at all the keyboard and mouse actions. So you need some kind of like software component that you download and put onto your computer, or companies, enterprises could load this software component that would say screen capture, mouse clicks, and keyboard captures, right? So that kind of keyboard logging thing is existing software. They just make their own version of it, and then they communicate to the two other pieces of the puzzle, right? Um, so Grok is like more advanced and sophisticated version of turn-by-turn navigation software. So they take the FSD software that analyzes video from 8 cameras and then projects forward on them in order to determine how to drive.
Right.
So it's saying I'm getting a video feed, so I'm already doing that. I've already optimized my chip to handle video. I'm handling a different video stream
Right.
for the purpose of automating not the car, but my computer desktop.
Okay.
So
So, all right. So I think you just helped me understand the first layer. Let's make sure everybody else understands it.
yeah,
So raise your hand if you don't. Anyway, we'll have to do live stream sometime.
yeah.
Anyway, so if I think the difference here that I didn't pick up on is that with the other kinds of systems that are out there, even with the one that we were thinking it was going to be, the one that we talked about a couple of weeks ago with emulation, the emulation was going to know how to copy what you did. But I think what you're saying is now it's going to have the data coming in, the data turns into a video. Now the video becomes part of a data set, and slowly but surely, Optimus is going to learn how to do things based on other things that it's already done. It's going to be able to extrapolate, interpolate, do things by analogy, all the kinds of things that we know that the car can do. It'll say, "Oh, well, I've never seen this program before, but I saw something like it over here, so now I can." Is that what you're saying?
So I'm saying both.
Okay,
So one is getting the video feed, it can learn and do things in a more general sense,
right,
right? But there is also I want to run software and emulate human mouse clicks and human keyboard actions,
okay,
right? So there's two parts to
right,
it, and I'll go into more detail
okay,
about how that would work.
okay,
And then the other part, the larger piece you talked about, is that if I'm learning white collar work
hmm
5 seconds at a time,
hmm
right? Then that is very useful for digital and physical Optimus. So there's a long game and learning everything. And then there is the immediate, let's make a few $1 billion, $10 billion
right,
a year thing.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
And then the digital Optimus part, that's part of your computer, getting the screen capture, and then also a part in the car using the AI4 chip, right? So it says this will run very competitively on the super low cost AI4, $650 chip. And that pricing, we didn't have that
right,
confirmed before.
right,
I thought it was $2,000 or less. Now he's saying $650 because it also probably $1,000 for the cameras, right? So the cameras have a cost. The chip part is $650, and it has about 10 times, 20 times the power of a regular laptop,
right.
right? So that's also why he's using that thing. And it's also charged, so that computer is charged up with electricity because you need to charge up your car,
hmm
right?
hmm
So something on your computer, something in your car, and then that car part can handle immediate video and processing. But sometimes you're doing something so complicated, it's going to go back to that place
Ah,
and say, oh, hey, in the cloud, I need to get even more computation to figure this thing out, right?
yep,
So part on your car, part on your computer. So the part of the computer is really lightweight. It's just like doing the video feed stuff. It's just sending the information over to the car.
Right.
right? And the car will handle the immediate actions. Most of the time, it can figure things out for simple things. And then when it needs to do some real AI thinking, then it boots it up to the data center.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay.
Um, so there's working with the other stuff, part of a real-time smart AI system. In principle, it's capable of emulating the function of entire companies. And that's why the program called Macrohard, if I reference to Microsoft, emulate the entire company. So there's the immediate work of emulating human,
Right.
but then they want to emulate a whole company. And I would say I have an estimate about like how is this different from software that exists now? Because people think, wow, automating a whole desktop is like that's never been done before. And yes, it has, but most people just haven't encountered it.
Right.
Okay, so I'm gonna go into that. Any questions about this part?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so a little table that kind of compares to, so there's things called VB script, which we used to run Excel, and you can run macros there. And then also there's robotic process automation, about $30 billion business in companies.
Mm.
And then for people who don't know that if you're in a big company, you have the IT group, people who are the tech support guys who help you do stuff.
Right.
Right. And so you're running some software and it's like, oh, I got an error. I have, it could be software that we bought or software that we made. I can't figure it out. So the IT guys who run all the software, they won't come down from the third floor, right, to come and help you, right? You'll say, I have a problem, call them up and say, okay, I'm going to now remote into your system.
Right.
Terminal viewer, take over. You say, yes, go ahead and take over. And then they run through the error, see, okay, I see the error that you're doing. And, here's how we're going to fix all that. But the person doing it, but they're coming in from another computer to do things, right? So there's part of it that is automating, the robot process automation is automating things that are like, we do it, 1,000 times a day. It's, I'm loading up certain data. It's a process that happens over and over again. Instead of hiring 20 clerical staff to do it, we get it so that it's automated. Right. But on the scripting side, where I'm running a spreadsheet, or on the robotic process automation side, this thing is brittle. It doesn't, once you change your interface, once you change the where I stored the file, that I'm like load this data file from here. So like I'm constantly dropping that file and I'm loading it into the thing, right? Anytime I change that or I didn't pick up the right file, it all breaks. Right. So this goes the second line, breaks instantly on UI changes. It's called bot rot, right?
Okay.
So things have to go here, this has to do that. I'm doing 100 steps and then I do the work, right? But if that one super user who is doing all this stuff and keeping it all going, they leave and they don't tell the next guy, then this thing may also start failing, because that person was always, moving the files around, doing something to get it all set up so this thing would all work. If someone fired that guy or that guy left for a new company and then didn't tell him, oh, by the way, there's this thing that happens all the time. Right. And then that gets picked up, then it goes away. And then people say, what did Joe do? I can't remember what he did. And this thing is not working anymore. Oh, well. And then it goes away. Right. So that's the kind of thing. So this is like a $30 billion a year business. So out of the whole $4 trillion IT world, right, you're at 1%, less than 1% of the people doing this. It's why most people never encounter it, is because it's not that big a deal. Because, and why I can automate everything. Why don't I want to do that? It's because it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I remember. I've done it. I've been there.
Yeah. Right. So even people who do macros say, look, I do it sometimes, like only when that is always happening every day do I want to go to the hassle of doing that thing. Right. Otherwise, I really don't want to do that thing because it's so painful. But digital optimism skills, instead of fixing selectors, coordinates, basic optical character recognition stuff, it will do it more complicated, more, I can handle all video. figure out, okay, something's broken. Okay, let me figure out what's going on. I'm intelligent. I can figure out what's going on. I can, it adapts to layout changes. You move the buttons, you move some stuff. It says, okay, I understand the screen. You move this over here, this drop down different, just like a person. I can
Yeah.
figure this out,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's just figuring out different drop downs. Oh, I got like TurboTax 2027 instead of TurboTax 2025, and they move some screens around. I got this.
Right.
I know what I want to do.
Right. Right.
So it can handle new apps, new pops, everything. So not pure rules. It can understand why. Why am I doing this? It's not like
Mhm.
I have to pull this file and dump it, which is, I can do it, but it's like, why am I doing this thing? Oh, it's to get all of the invoices loaded. I need to do all this to do that, right?
Mhm.
So then it understands the purpose, so that if things aren't right, it can then say, and can also say, I try and fix it. I don't know. I need to go talk to Harry in accounting to say, yo, Harry, and this is, like a open claw, making a phone call. Say, just like a person would say, Harry, I need the freaking invoice file.
Yeah.
What have
Yeah.
you done to it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or let's figure out another process because I need to do it for this, right? So you have a system that can do that. And we see with OpenClaw, that kind of like make a phone call, make a reservation
Right.
stuff can happen,
Right.
right?
Right.
So before, the complexity was it got to be repetitive. It needs to be have a lot of structure to it. Here, it can handle stuff that's like far more complicated, less structured, more novel, and can still handle it, right? Because
Yeah.
it's processing the whole screen and figuring it out. And again, the maintenance is high on the old way, right?
Right. Right.
Anything breaks, I'm constantly fixing this thing. It's taken weeks to set it up. Anytime it breaks, I'm back in there again, constantly. It's like a bunch of spinning plates, right?
Hmm.
I have to have 5 plates spinning.
Hmm.
One place falls off, it's broken, and it's so minimal in the new way. Scale and cost, it should be better. Potentially, a lot of things are marginal cost. Speed, very fast. Might be slower. Depends how good and how smart it is, how fast it could be
Hmm.
to get this all set up.
So, okay.
Any questions
So,
on this part?
yeah. So it manages all these things like almost like a human. Well, like a
Yeah.
human.
Mhm.
And it's sophisticated enough to be able to figure out if there has been a change, somebody else loaded some new software, whatever, it can do all that.
Mhm.
All of this together that you've just explained on this slide, is there any big moat here to keep somebody else from doing the same thing?
One is um, all of the 5 million AI4 chips
Oh,
that cost like $4 billion to get out there,
yeah.
right? So people bought a product that has $4 billion worth of stuff that has 800 megawatts of compute,
Hmm.
right? So the previous Macrohard thing, 1.2 gigawatt data center costs like $60 billion.
Right.
So now my 800 megawatt thing, that cost Tesla $5 billion to deploy,
Hmm.
but it was included in a profitable car sale.
Hmm.
So they profitably got it out there, but
Right.
it is $4 billion worth of stuff,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And it would cost someone else to make an 800 megawatt data center. It would cost them like $40 billion.
Right.
It would cost them 10 times more. So the moat is the hardware and the distribution of this
Okay.
thing to get this much stuff. And I didn't also include this data center, which is
Right.
about, $56 billion.
Right.
So it's nearly $100 billion worth of data center, centralized and distributed. And it took Tesla 8 years, or no, from AI4 chip, 4 years, 3 years to
Hmm.
get all those chips
Hmm.
out there,
Hmm.
right? And then have a product where people would want to buy it. So someone else, say Apple,
Hmm.
could say, okay, we will make Mac Mini 3,
Hmm.
and it will have more compute than the regular Mac Mini because the Mac Mini is weaker than the AI4,
Hmm.
right? And then people will buy them, and then we'll sell stuff on top, right? But clearly, someone owned the Mac Mini, so they would they want the same deal or something like that? And it would take time to get all those things out there, right?
Right.
So I would need to get 10 million Mac Minis out there,
Mhm.
and more powerful ones. So I have to get new chips and stuff. So that is the kind of moat of it. And then next year, um, Tesla is going to AI5 chips, 40 times more compute,
Right.
4 times more energy. And if we get 10 million AI5 chips out there, that would be 10 gigawatts of AI. That would be like $500 billion worth of compute,
Mm.
right? So the model of getting all this compute out there and then leveraging it is something that Tesla has that other people do not. Over-the-air updates, other people don't have that. Like
Right.
there's a no over-the-air update for a Mac Mini or Mac
Yeah.
Mini 5 or
Yeah.
something like
Yeah.
that, right? So there's infrastructure, there's software, handling a video stream like an FSD, that took $10 billion worth of development to do, right?
Mhm.
That's another moat on it. So there's technical, business, energy, hardware, infrastructure, several moats. I would
Mhm.
say
Mhm.
5 major moats.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Okay, so Elon says continuous real-time video, 5 FSD style, more powerful dynamic than static screenshots. So a Business Insider saying it was only static screenshots. It's way more than static screenshots. Digital Optimus handles the fast instinctive execution, and Grok will handle deeper strategy around what processes I'm doing. It will take things that are happening with OpenClaw and supercharge it with way more compute, way more contextual understanding of what's going on. So leveraging AI4 now, but they're going to get other ones, AI5, AI6, and then they're building the data center fleet. Okay, so that's basically it.
So once again, another moat would be this whole business of the visual streaming, because it's one thing if the bot was saying, "Oh, there's a screen, okay, now click. Oh, there's a screen, click. There's." So if you're just doing them one at a time, and there's no continuity between them, it's a whole different thing. It'd be kind of like the car is going down the street, and every few seconds it has to visualize an entirely new set of data, but instead it doesn't. It's a continuous stream with a 5 second backup, which
Mhm.
is which is I think going to be one that to me that sounds like a big moat.
Right, right. And the other thing is this fits together. You can see this fits together with robotaxi, robot trucking,
Right,
Tesla bot, and this. So this is the white collar. I get into your office and I look at the screen. I'm originally in digital Optimus mode, looking at
right,
the screen, right? And then I can go out to the world, roam around the world, and that is, robotaxi thing that I'm doing that. So the Tesla bot, physical bot, can learn those things. The other thing is that the white collar worker, the digital one, can say, I need to do something in the physical world.
hmm
Hey, Tesla bot, physical Tesla bot, go do something. Let me, and then physical Tesla bot, what's the context of this thing? And it would say, oh, here's the business context of what you're doing, right? Because it has the understanding. So you can see how things all together is a digital Optimus is the pure white collar, what can you do a computer screen remote
right,
people thing, physical body that, and they each can ask the other to do stuff, right? I need to do a physical task. I need to do
right,
a white collar
right.
business task.
Yeah.
And then you're just calling out, do this, do that, and you're passing along these tasks and then moving around. And then if I need to like deliver a physical object, robotaxi, I
Yeah.
need to get something delivered. Hey,
Okay.
pick me up, send me. So it's all pieces together that are do get to do everything in the world.
Right, right, right,
Yeah. And then each one leverages chips, right?
right.
Chips on the car, chips in the computer, chips in the bot. And so more and more work is happening. And then also there'll be chips in space doing
Mm,
all kinds of compute, right? So all these actions need energy and need compute and need data. And all these pieces are getting more energy, more compute, more data deployed into different functions. But this is basically how do I win white collar work, right? And then this is that. And then that integrates with how do I do physical labor
right, right.
work? how do I do intelligent transportation? How do I
Mhm.
do intelligent supply chain?
Mhm.
Right? And this all fits together. And then the other one is how do I get unlimited energy, unlimited data, unlimited whatever? And that's the space AI bit
Right.
overarching the whole
Right.
thing.
Right.
And so that's basically it.
Okay, all right, that's it. All right. So then the other subject that we wanted to talk about was the war in Iran, but we don't want to talk about it the way everybody else is talking about it. We
Mhm.
want to talk about it the way that you and I commonly talk about it, which is weaponry.
Right.
And a week or so, it was either last week or the week before, we did have a conversation about lasers. It must
Mhm.
have been before the war started because I think, anyway, we're talking about, no, it was after. So it must have been last week. And we were talking about the laser capabilities, some of the new capabilities the US was deploying and whatnot.
Yeah.
But then today, Israel had an announcement. So
Mhm.
I don't know, you might have some additional stuff. I'll turn you loose again.
Okay. So Israel has Iron Dome, which is their missile system to shoot down missiles and drones that come at them. And then there is also Iron Beam. So it's basically layers of the onion of like multiple layers of defense. So I have some missiles that are defending, and then lasers, some more missiles, some more lasers and stuff. So they have 100 kilowatt laser. This is what we're seeing right here. That is, I'm using the Star Wars Return of the Jedi Emperor saying, and this battle station is fully operational. This laser is fully operational,
Okay.
and they can make more of them. My background, the Emperor. Okay, so there's Iron Beam Mobile, Iron Beam, what you call Iron Beam M, and Iron Beam Light.
Hmm.
Okay, so they have several lasers. The current Iron Beam is 100 kilowatts. The Iron Beam Mobile will be about 50 kilowatts, and then Iron Beam Light will be 10. All power levels will go up over the next few years,
Hmm.
right? Um, so that each one has a bit of optics and then the firing of the laser. This is a multi-layer thing I was talking about. Don't need to go into the details of that.
Okay.
So 100 kilowatt, it has a range of about 7 to 10 kilometers. So that's 4 to 6 miles for the
Hmm.
100 kilowatt system.
Hmm.
You can shoot down rockets, you can shoot down mortars, you can shoot down drones, and you can shoot down missiles.
Hmm.
Um, there is a, it's harder to shoot down faster missiles
Hmm.
because if I detect it, 6 miles away,
Hmm.
right? And it's moving at 600 miles per hour,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
That means it moves 10 miles every second.
Right.
So I have 1 second to do something about it, right? So really, if I only have 10 miles, 6 miles of range, 1 second, if it takes me 2 seconds to burn it out,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
I hit it and I'm probably dead by the
Right. Right.
time,
Right. Right.
or I'm trying to shoot it over, whatever. So the range and time are factors on these things. But if it's
Right.
moving 100 miles per hour, right?
Yeah.
Well, now,
Yeah. Plenty of time.
now I have like 3 seconds, 5 seconds. I can burn it out. I can take it out,
So this
right?
is so this
So
so this technology is why you and me and all of our friends growing up were learning the shooting games. Is that right? On our
yes,
computers.
that's right.
It's, so now
That's right.
now
Yeah,
it's
the pew
become
pew
really
pew.
real.
Yes, this
It's
is yeah. That's right. That's right. Anyways, rough cost about $2 to $5. So people always worried, oh, the drone only costs $100. I'm shooting down with a $5,000 missile or $20,000 missile, right? You know, it's economically won't work if you're facing a equal opponent,
right.
right? If I'm facing someone with $100 million budget, and then yes, it cost me $10 billion to break all this stuff. If I have $1 trillion budget, I still win. The
Yeah.
fact that
Yeah.
expensive,
Yeah.
I'm wasting my money. The U.S. wastes money like no, like crazy.
Right.
If you're saying wasting $10 billion is going to stop us, you know, not going to stop us, right? We waste money like nothing, like $200 billion on space shuttle, and we don't, it's like, and we're celebrating. Yes, we blew $200 billion on space shuttle, right? So blowing billions of dollars, but ideally, you don't blow money. And then if you're facing someone remotely equal, China, right? Then if I need to shoot down $1 million a piece doing it, because then you're $1 trillion, and that's real money even to the United States,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Right.
you want to have things more efficient.
Yeah. So
So the
two
50 kilowatt
so it's
beam
kind
is
of
the
hard.
ion beam mobile.
It's kind of hard to beat two
Sorry, what was
dollars,
that?
$2 a shot.
Yeah, $2 shot. That's right. But then it'll also go up. Like if I have a megawatt laser, then it might be $20 a shot,
I
$10
see.
a shot. I need to get more efficient on my energy,
Got
right?
it.
But that would be down like a really nice fast missile, because then I would have like 100 miles of range. I could be like, way far away, hitting really fast missiles. It'd be fine,
Mhm.
right? Even an ICBM. Well, an ICBM that costs like 10 million, 100 million bucks,
Right,
right?
right, right.
So I'm spending $20 to shoot that down. That's a
Yeah,
bargain.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so the IB Mobile will go into some kind of like a big truck. It needs to be a big truck because not because of the thing, but because of the laser itself. It's because laser has to be powered by something,
Right.
right? Off of my car engine, right?
Yeah.
I need a kilowatt, maybe, right? I need to have a big generator
Right.
inside, or insane amount of battery, or I need some heavy power storage for this thing.
Right.
And the laser costs about 10 to 30 million bucks on the Israeli side. The
Okay.
the one that fit onto the US Navy ship was like $100 million,
Mm,
right?
mm.
As they make more of them, dozens later this year, hundreds the year after, um, Lockheed is the one making the the US lasers and charge us less is, I think, a bad assumption around the old line of military companies, right? That they could say it will always be $100 million,
Right.
or now it goes up to like $250 million or what something, right? This goes to the people who say the US can't waste money. Just watch us.
Yeah, yeah,
And so,
yeah.
anyway, so there's this thing, so it's operationally flexible. It's driving around. It has some accuracy things which are secret, and then it can engage in. It'll do continuous fire and all
Mm,
that kind of stuff. So it's like that, and keep going. It doesn't have to cool down that much,
mm.
um, according to the brochure hardware. Like, real world, who knows? I'll put a mirrored surface onto my missile or my drone or something like that, and then I'm good. So if you're reflecting away 99.9%, right? I'm hitting with 50 kilowatts, then with 99 reflection, I'm still hitting with 50 watts. That will burn through the coating in less than a second,
Mm.
right? So you have your shiny coating. That just means that 2 seconds takes 3 seconds
Mhm,
to kill your
mhm,
thing,
mhm.
right? So the mirrored coating doesn't matter, but weather affects military. So a big dust storm, then instead of 6 miles of range, I'm down to 1 mile, I'm down to half
Mm,
mile. A
mhm.
really big foggy day. But that's like it took 500 meters of dust to
Yeah,
stop this thing,
yeah, 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 yeah.
right? So it has to be really dusty or whatever. On a polluted LA day or something like that, my range drops to half, right? But it's still like 3 miles, right?
Yeah.
But that's why you also have missiles and stuff. So those aren't affected by dust, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And
it's a
and
range, it's another tool.
yeah, and just to my city here just got slammed, so I get to respond. That's
Yeah.
not true anymore. There's no days like that anymore.
Okay. Good. Good. Raphael, the Israeli company, the Israeli government owns it. They're about $6 billion per year. The laser part of it is still a tiny bit. They
Hmm.
do more missiles and other things than that. But in this current conflict, they're saying, "Oh wow, the Israelis shot down a few dozen drones with their laser thing.
Hmm.
I need to shoot down drones because I'm getting attacked by them every day
Right.
by Iran, like 5 drone swarms a day to Qatar, 20 drone swarms a day to UAE, right? So Raphael will get sales to Saudi, all the other companies, Amazon and OpenAI and Microsoft. They're on the list, like their data centers in the Middle East, which I don't think they built yet, but they may have buildings, something like that. They supposedly Iran's going to target them.
Mm, yeah,
So
yeah.
our data centers will need to be defended
Mhm.
by these lasers and maybe even missile systems,
Yeah.
because um, um, people are going to drones, and then you will need the cheap defense of it.
Right. Right.
What
Right.
else? Well, $100 million, $30 million, is that cheap? For a $50 billion data center, it is.
Yeah. 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 For
Okay,
sure.
so and then you can stick them on Humvees. So also, when they're mobile, that means if I don't have defenses pre-built for my whatever location,
Hmm.
you can drive up your trucks
Yeah.
and your Hummers with lasers over there, and then now you're attacking here. So then I put like 20 vehicles there to shoot these other things out of the sky, right?
Nice.
So then every city may have like 10 of these, 2 of the trucks, right? So then we would then scale up and have all these things. But that's $250 million, not chump change,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Um, so and then they're putting it onto the your Super Humvee thing, the light beam, right? Just an animated graphic. You wouldn't actually see the beam, you know.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
That's just illustrative.
Right.
They're making 300 kilowatt systems, so that would be longer range, 20 kilometers, 20 miles, maybe 15 miles, and then 0.3 seconds to burn through.
Mm.
So more range, faster burn through. That's the benefit of more power. But then that means I'm starting to step up to bigger and bigger generators, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
non-trivial to do this. The US has their 60 kilowatt system, and they're going to scale up. They've done tests on the 150s. So I would say dozens more of these by end of this year, next year. And same thing on the Israeli side, maybe even rolling out faster because they're getting shot down more. And then
Mhm.
they would also, Israeli would also sell some to, like 2 or 3 to each of the Gulf countries and have theirs. Maybe there's a demand for like 10 or 20
Mhm.
or
Mhm.
more, where you want to have that. And if you need to like spread it across your border, if I have a 200-mile border, then if I have the 150 kilowatt ones, each one about like 10-mile range, 10 miles this way, 10 miles that way. If I was to create a little marginal line of defense, I need to have like 10 of these to
Yeah.
cover a 200-mile border,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and then so just that's the kind of like scaling you need to have. And then maybe I need more than one laser. I need to have like 2 lasers. And then so then you can see I need to have 100 per major part of my border. And across, a US border or something like that, where you know, the cartel suddenly got a bunch of drones,
Right. Right. Right.
then you would need to have like like 100, 200 of them.
So Poland and Finland and Estonia, they would be they would all be in line to get some of these since they're on the front line with their old buddy Russia.
Right, right. And Russia has, they're going through 1 million drones a year or more
Yeah.
against each
Yeah.
side has that. So they're drone versus drone
Yeah.
war.
Yeah.
But their production level, they can have 100,000, but they're in general really inexpensive drones.
Mhm.
The, some made out of wood, some made whatever, in order to get under $20 per drone.
Mm.
So then you'd want to have this kind of system to like deal with many small drones, a
Right.
wave of, thousands of these things coming at you. Um,
Yeah. So yes. Yeah. So the drone bit holy cow, so the drone business, but now we got the answer to the drone.
mhm.
And the question is, I mean, lasers are fairly well known. We know a lot about lasers. Do you know how hard it will be for China or Russia to come up with their own lasers?
Um, I think China has a lot of industrial lasers, so they can do it relatively quickly.
Mhm.
Um, I I know that they're pretty decent on their, getting them onto ships and stuff, and they were also working on railguns. So I would think that they wouldn't be more than a couple years behind, and they can get to this level relatively quickly. Um, Russia, I think their key supply chain technologies for the lasers is inferior. They don't sell enough commercial products with lasers in them
I see.
to industrial products to have that uh, to do it. They're smart enough to do it. They just don't
Sure,
have
sure, sure.
the commercial industry to make
Got it.
that happen.
Got it.
And the other thing would be that the U.S. has also chosen to copy um, the cheap Iranian drones, the
Mm.
30,000, 5,000 drones that can go like 300, 500 miles one
Mhm.
way. Um, so the US is going to scale up to like, a third of a million by 2028 on those. So the mass production of inexpensive drones and the mass production of lasers is, by the 2030s, it will be very, very developed, where you'll have like 1,000 of these things on the laser side, 1 million drones on it. So that's the world going to, but it'd be like, of your 1.5, $2 trillion budget for the United States, you'd have like 20 billion on lasers or 50 billion on lasers, 100 billion on the drones, because like the drones are defense, the lasers are defense, the drones are offense,
Right, right, right,
and also some defense.
right,
So they always spend more on offense
right.
versus defense, right?
Mm.
But you want to spend some on defense, and then you would think that Israel would have a multi-billion-dollar laser thing, and they would have business selling it to Saudi and stuff like that. So that's kind of the direction that we're going in terms of that stuff. And then China would make their own, and they would sell them to North Korea, everyone else. They would have the weapons themselves would be less political. It'd just be like, how good is it? How much does it cost?
Right, right.
Right.
So last thing is back to the general case of today's action in
Mhm.
Iran. I think people were surprised that Iran still had so much firepower. I certainly was, because I had said they wouldn't be able to project after Sunday, and on Monday and Tuesday I was right. Then on Wednesday they sent off quite a bit of firepower. So what do
So
you
I
think?
have some information about that. So
Okay.
I've been adding up. So the figures on the like there's some prominent YouTuber X people that were saying here's the amount of missiles and drones. So those were undercounts.
Mm,
So I do some YouTube videos with Royden, and he's in Qatar, Doha, Qatar, and then he says like 5 drone attacks per day, 5 missile attacks per day, and then if you add up the UAE reports, the uh, Israeli reports on that, when some of the numbers were saying we were down to like 15 or 20 missile attacks and such thing on the drone attacks, both were undercounted. If you add up,
mm,
Israel got hit, Kuwait got hit,
mm.
on and on. At least 40 to 60 missile attacks are happening per day. So it
Mm.
was underreported
I
by
see.
certain sources. But then if you add that up, then that means that, well, if you started off with 2,500 things and you fired off 800 and we may have destroyed some,
Right.
then we should be towards not that many missiles left, right? And then if we destroy certain launchers, so it's definitely not I fire off once, because basically if I have 400 launchers and some have been destroyed
Mhm,
and I fired off 1,000 missiles,
mhm.
right? Then on average, you must have fired 3 or 4 per
Right.
launcher and maybe some 6,
Right.
right? So it means also that the better, more competent missile firing teams who like, I'm going to go under this tree cover, I'm going to fire off my missile, I'm going to really pack up fast and then move. Those guys are harder to take out, right? They're just
Better.
better at
Mhm,
shoot and scoot, right?
mhm, mhm.
So those guys are tougher to get rid of. But obviously, we have taken out all the dumb ones, all the guys who are slow, and so then it's still happening. They're still being degraded,
Right.
right? And then if we underestimated how many they started off with, maybe they started off with 5,000 missiles,
Right.
maybe started off with 800 launchers, right? We didn't have a good count,
Right.
right? Then the fact that we've blown up 400, because they say, okay, I have a confirmed kill. Yes, I definitely destroyed that launcher, right? Then I definitely blew up 300, right? But are they down to 100 now, or are they down to 300? So it's the fog of war. We don't know for sure, right? Other than the fact that we'll keep hunting them down. We're
Right.
going to keep using stuff and keep hunting them down. And then we will whack moles until there are no more moles.
Okay.
So is it 1 week or is it 3 weeks? So now we have to say, okay, they were shooting off more. They probably have more launchers. Um, they've also been doing stuff on the drone side. So they're still trying to do things.
Mhm,
We're still reducing them,
mhm.
but um, so maybe it takes another 2 weeks.
Okay. All right. So we'll get to the numbers in a second, but before we get to the numbers, we do need to remind you that you can have a one-on-one conversation with Brian about some potentially interesting financial opportunities out there if you are a qualified investor. So, Brian, what's the word? You're not personally certified, but you
Right. I'm
have
personally certified. I am working with other certified wealth managers, and this is, not right now promoting something specific, but we could discuss specific opportunities, and also it'd be educational though, like, and also be Q&A. Do you want to dig deep on what does this particular thing? I would help you with that information.
right, right. Okay, so if you want to do that, if you want to talk to Brian, you go down into my content below, and you'll see at the very top of the information, you'll see a link that you can go to his little website that he set up, and on that website, it'll give you you take a little short a form to
Questionnaire
fill out.
form. Yeah.
Yep. And then there you go. And he'll get back in touch with you. So, all right, let's take a look at the numbers, Brian. Oh, by the way, he sends me a nickel every time. No, I'm kidding. There is an opportunity for me to also make a little bit of change out of this if it does, if you find that it's a good thing to do. All right, let's take a look here at Tesla at the after hours, down a little bit, down 0.84. So after getting up there 2.15 today, we've lost back about about 40% of that. Sad to say, it'll probably pop back up tomorrow. Um, so you've already given us, of course, your directionality and thoughts with regard to that. Let's go on to the bonds, which were definitely screaming higher. And we'll talk about that a little more, the bonds and why they're screaming higher later tonight with Jeff Lutz. He and I had a longer conversation about that, but let's look at the bonds. If I can get to the page, if I can figure out what I'm doing. All right, this is not an age thing, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, here we go. So, oh, the bonds are a little, no, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. 4.25. Oh, goodness gracious. Another 4.3 basis points in the pre-market. So, no, that's not good. Um, Again, listen later. Do you have any thoughts on the bonds before I cut you off? No?
No,
Okay,
no,
okay,
nothing on my
okay.
bonds. No.
All right, oil, of course, is the big subject. The big subject is oil. We're now up on Texas Intermediate to $92.60 again. And this is after the president announced he is going to hit the strategic reserve. And after the EU said they would hit their strategic reserves, and everybody's going to be pouring, and there's so much oil in the world, and yet the price still keeps going up. So some people think it depends on how long it goes. And when people are satisfied that it's going to be over, this will all completely go away. What do you think? Oh, you're frozen again. So I won't let you think anymore. Oh, there you go.
So much. Okay. So on the oil stuff, so there's the Saudi and UAE oil pipelines. So those are moving oil about like 7 million barrels per day on the Saudi side, and then 1.8 million barrels per day on the UAE side. So that's 8.8 million barrels out of the 20 million that is the Strait of Hormuz level of stuff. So we're getting 40% going away of the thing, and they're also boosting production in the fields that are not by the Hormuz. So they can like dial it up, dial it down a bit. So they'll get less from here. So instead of needing to move 20, it's needing to move like say 17, and I get 3 million someplace else. So there is some flexing that they can adjust on this thing. The other thing is that we did get some ships through the Strait of Hormuz. But basically, there was a couple of hits, where the Iranians surged up and said, "Okay, let's blast a bunch of stuff." And they hit a Thai cargo ship. They hit, I think, a Japanese ship, not oil tankers, but they
Right.
hit, these smaller cargo ships. But the fact they hit anything at all
Yeah.
was saying, "Hey, okay, there's at this point they're still not done, right?"
Right.
But the U.S. is then working to hunt them down and make it done, right? So I think the U.S. will continue to do that, and they will succeed. Whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, I think they will succeed in hunting down everything and then getting that to money. They hunted down all the ships. There are
Right.
no ships that they have left. I think the goal is to take Karg Island.
Mm,
So there's an island a bit north of the Strait of Hormuz, a few hundred miles. That's where Iran loads all their oil.
right.
And Trump has talked about that actually back in 1988, that, hey, we should take Carter Island. Someone asked him the question while he was promoting the original book of Art of the Deal and saying we need to take it. So this is 40 years he's known. If we ever do something with Iran, we need to take Carter Island,
Mm,
right? And why is that important? It's because that would reduce the budget of Iran
mm,
by 80 to 90%, right? It would take their economy from $15 billion on this part of oil down to like two, right? So, and how is that relevant? Well, they give $6 billion a year to Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, right? So now, not only do I not have $6 billion to give them, right? I may have nothing to give them.
right.
I have trouble making payroll.
Right.
I have $15 billion. So $9 billion was for me to pay my Republican Guard guys.
Right.
If I'm down at $2 billion, right, then I'm either giving them all a 80% pay cut, or I'm not paying 80% of them or something like that, right? So this goes to people, supposed military experts who don't look at the economics of things and realize that if I take away your ability to have a budget, that hurts you totally, right? And it goes to like, how much do I need to fund in weapons to the Kurds or someone else? If your opponent goes from $15 billion to $2 billion, then if I give $3 billion before, I was only giving, 20% of what you had. Now, if I give $3 billion to the Kurds and to the Balochs and the Arabs and whatever in Iran or resistance groups, now I've outfunded you,
Yeah.
right? So I think it's take out all the missiles, work to hunt down the uranium, and then take Karg Island. If they take Karg Island after, say, a month and a half, it's like, oh, you didn't achieve anything. I didn't achieve anything except take away 80% of the budget,
Right.
right? 90% of the budget, right? Now you hold that and you say, I will now wait for you to collapse or for you to come to me and let's do a deal, right? Where I send in inspectors and do stuff. Time starts working for us, right? So that would be how I see this heading towards some kind of end game in the 4 to 12 week time frame.
Okay. Okay.
And my over and under will be 6 weeks.
All right. And so this would be the kind of a plan B if we don't degrade them militarily in all the ways that we're doing
No,
now.
no, no.
This
Karg
is
Island is plan A. Plan
plan
A.
A. Okay. So you think it's
It,
going to
it,
take, so you think that we're not going to take Karg Island until next
well,
week?
you don't want to take it until you've taken out their missiles.
I see.
Because if I'm on Karg Island and you still have missiles, and
Okay.
stuff, and the other thing is, if you're still able to hit Hormuz, then I'm taking Karg Island and I'm causing more oil disruption,
Hmm.
and I still haven't solved Hormuz. So I want to solve Hormuz, get the missiles mostly done, then take Karg Island. It's a sequence. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that'll be fun to, not fun to watch. That will be interesting to watch.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We've got, we already said that. We've got oil. We've got, whoops, here we go. Natural gas is up 1.59, which is not terribly shocking. It's up to $3.26 now. So even though we're going into spring and we would normally see it back off a little bit, here we've got a situation where natural gas is a replacement for oil in many, many industrial uses. So natural gas going up is not a shock. Gold down 25 bucks, kind of in the middle where it's been. Not a lot of action there. Silver, which shot up the last few days, is now down a little bit, down 0.45. And copper also down 0.15%. So any thoughts on the metals?
Um,
And then
I think
Brian's been
it's all.
freezing a lot. It must be cold in Northern California.
Mm,
All
yeah.
right, we'll go to Bitcoin while he unfreezes. There he is. Okay, you're back.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So Good. Bitcoin.
Okay. Bitcoin, basically unchanged at $244 up, and Ethereum actually doing better, up almost a full percentage to 2,055. Um, and the futures, here we go. So in terms of wow, they're down a lot. Um, so the Dow is down almost a full percent at 0.91, S&P down 0.83, and NASDAQ down 0.85. So it's pretty significant downward for the continuing down.
Yeah. But for people who are predicting, a lot of doom, yes, things are not quite over as quickly as we thought, but it's people would have thought, oh, we would have lost a lot more than we did. We've lost a lot less. And then in perspective, I think we've had 7 deaths, tragic deaths on the US side, but that is, a half a death per day, 1 death every 2 days, which if you compare it to Gulf War One, which if, people of our age remember Gulf War One, where it seemed like, wow, that was so fast and so easy. We lost 147 military people in the Gulf War, the 6 weeks of the Gulf War, and we lost, I think, another 150 of civilian casualties on the U.S. side, like someone at the bases or some such thing. So that would be 300 total out of over 40 some days. So that would be like 8 per day. So we're at 10% or 5% of those levels of a considered fast and effective war, which lasted 6 weeks. So I think pacing wise and damage wise, comparing to that, that we're actually doing pretty well. And even the first 4 weeks of the Gulf War II, which was again breaking the Iraq army,
Right.
and then the occupation part completely separate. We're not going to do that,
Right.
in my opinion.
No.
And then so in terms of like the combat phase of it,
Right.
again, they had similar number of casualties on that side too, or more.
Okay. And then one last thought is that because of the recovery that we saw last week, we're still not even close to being 5% down on the S&P. So it isn't really very significant at this point.
Right.
All right, Brian, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Don't forget to go down and look at the instructions below of how to hook up with Brian. Did I say hook up? No, I meant just visit with him
Talk, yeah.
on the phone. That's it.
One thing going forward is that, for the missiles and the drone stuff, we have to see how long the Iranians can surge this level of attack.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like, the Battle of the Bulge was the last, surge attempt of the Germans.
Yeah.
And then once you knock that down, then it was all downhill, right? So then this minor surge, relatively speaking, yes, they got some stuff off. They showed, hey, we're still a bit dangerous. But if that goes away in the next day or two, or even just tomorrow,
Yeah.
then it'd be like it was an anomaly, a Battle of the Bulge type last-ditch attempt to do something.
Okay. All right. Good. So, Brian, thanks as always for coming on. And to all of you out there, it has been great talking to you. I have to learn how to turn this thing off.